screen share tawkrabnida uramanida online damtang yena screen share uramgodogi male intawdi tawkrama check. Okay, yeah, mal. Yeah, yeah. Within this time period, akoina optimistic non-alignment ko. And with asigi matam sida geopolitical, geostrategic environment se kari oirami Cold War. Natra Cold War oire. Cold War matam sida yeng se koi gi kano se position se 1947 da koi independent pange. Ekoi gi kano gi life expectancy is just somewhere around 32 years. Literacy rate less than 20%. Food crops, food grains, import plus aid dependent. Industry in shambles, agriculture in ruins. We have to build a nation. And more than that, we have to build India into a nation. Princely state, more than 500 princely states. There were many states which do not want to be part of India. Junagadh, Kashmir, Hyderabad, and Manipur. Just few examples. Cold War period. And fresh from colonialism. So, masigi environment si the political leadership of that time, and particularly under the influence of Nehru, we said, and the world was increasingly divided, beginning to divide into two. Eastern Bloc or some Western Bloc. Either you are with the United States of America and their gang, or you are with USSR and their gangs. In this environment, India said, we will choose the middle path, non-alignment. We will not join either of the bloc. And I believe, I join a personal level, that was the right move also. Because look at India's position during that time. If first there is the mistrust for the Western power, because they're all colonial powers, one. And we got independent after years and years of struggle. After so many bloodshed, life lost, all the struggles, we got our independence. We don't want to risk losing that independence and sovereignty again, one. Second, India was trying to build itself into a nation. And imagine if we join any of the group, and what do we see? Look around. Do you think that these two powers have no capability to support anti-India elements? India can well be balkanized into many states. There is one possibility, right? So, factoring all the considerations, we choose the middle path, the non-aligned movement. We will say we will not join either of the bloc. We will choose our own foreign policy, conduct our own foreign policy based on what we think is the best for us. We will choose the middle path. However, this does not mean that we will be removed away from international politics. International politics, global politics, just that we will not join either of the bloc, but we will choose our own independent path. That is India's position. Masiki path is choose the element of idealism. So, what we were doing, and see, leader of the third world countries. And I always said, this is the genius of Nehru. India being a poor country, such a poor country during that period of time, he made India a global player through non-aligned movement and its role as the leader of the third parties. Minai oramaga, hek minai overtoga. I will chaksa, boy, later boy. Just in simple word, the high one call. India minai boy, have that just can phrase me. So Adumaina Lairamba country Yaduna. Think about it. They managed to emerge as a leader of the third world through non-aligned movement and the brilliance of Nehru, I would say. What does India have during that period of time? What do we have to offer? Can we give aid to African countries? Can we give military aid or economic aid to whosoever is fighting for independence during that period of time? No. UN the law, International Forum the challenge. I condemn apartheid. Khabar the law. Nehru, the Prime Minister of newly independent India, condemned apartheid in South Africa, whatever it is. I support the independence movement of this country. No, press statement is a global leader, global player. And do we have anything substantial? The answer is probably no. However, this idealism of Nehru and his idealistic policies, in a way, make India into a global player. But at the same time, also our greatest defeat, 1962. Because our military was not prepared, we don't spend enough on military and defense. And Panchil, Panchil with China, 1954 Danatra, 54 or 56 Panchil signed with China. Indo-China, India-China, we'll come to that. Here, mutual respect for one another, non-interference in each other, internal policy, non-aggression, all of that. Idealism, my will. Panchil ki kaino si philosophy je follow to prithvi de lan to no darka sule lete. But we live in a real world. We don't live in an idealistic world. Panchil do the, yes, it's very good. Adubu, you have to back up with your own capabilities so that Panchil can be maintained. Idealism do the lehore, homework to the tavhogre. So that leads to a disaster in 1962. When India-China relation we'll come to that, okay? So 1962 akoina follow toramba kaino si policy high gadra natragana philosophies in conducting international relations what we see is optimistic non-alignment 1962 the gidi 1947 62 la 62 the Pakistan China na khadi theme pore hai bi no aite do khadi theme pore adudagidi gyan tare ice masi non alignment third world country sukan kana de mean pure ko kanom tare. What do? We need to start increasing your defense capabilities and you do your own homework at ground. UN the chalaga apartheid freedom movement of African countries, third world unity, non-aligned movement is one of the greatest failures here. China na India the aggression tarapumatamda, not even one of them come forward vocally and support India. That is perhaps one of the greatest failure of non-aligned movement. So, same example, UPSC coaching learning as IS pass or tabak tawni paisa lauroi tabak change bungo paisa laudredi ada kamjong the thar again nang yara bro luhong budi hayang si luhong daw ba posting ni later yara reality strike the kari taw se hay no sar hayran reality realism yai na sila yeah it's defeat adudagi what happened India more shifted its policy towards realism and recovery. So, the military modernization, more increased spending on defense, all that started. So now, and recovery time, India did recover very fast. China 1962 the forum, adu 1967 Battle of Rezangla and Nathula. Rezangla Nathulaga Chola passes, Sikkim area da. Aziki Paltan hai na cinema amaga like no yeng brajo adugi do. That's the depiction of that incident. 67, we give them befitting reply again. Very fast recovery. So to an extent, there was a kind of moral reparation in Indian psyche. I mean, no hypothesis, but kitang response this kind of a moral recovery for the Indian psyche. And then India-Pakistan war, 1965, becoming more assertive. Pragmatic choice based security challenges, defense agreement with United States of America. All this started after the 1962 war. So between this period, 62 to 71. Now, 71, what do we see? What do we see the changes? What are the changes that we see in our foreign policies? Greater Indian regional aspirations. Asidadi, we will see India asserting itself more in the region and also elsewhere, also in the larger global politics. Example, 1971 war, India-Pakistan war. What happened? We helped in the creation of a new nation called Bangladesh. Aduga masigi timing sida what happened? India signed Treaty of Peace and Friendship with USSR. Indira Gandhi ka sign tawhido. So what we are seeing is from realism to recovery to now we are shifting more into greater Indian regional assertion that we are here. We are not some pushover. Yengo, India, China, India, Pakistan war 1971. By this time, India, China, we will see to this. Okay, India, Pakistan, the trailer brought at the bird eye view. 1971, Indira Gandhi leadership ki makhada, India ka Pakistan land tau. Think about it. India was 1962, just not even a decade ago. China, Indo-China, India ka China ka war, a disaster for India. And then, by this time, 1971, what happened is, Pakistan the pura US ki block pe yaw. And also, China, with whom India has already fought a war, and United States of America were getting closer. Karigi namak ta mabani se nakshin nari bano hai matamda. China se communist natra. USSR se communist natra. Adubu masi ani sida ideology da yana daba. Crack chalak mabani ki marak sida. Mabani sida marak sida crack chalingai tanja sida United States of America ga Pakistan ga di on the same came later. Aduga Pakistan ga China ga di closed oil because both of them share common enemy, India, and also because of their geopolitical and geostrategic considerations. China access to Arabian Sea and all of that. And then what did they do? The Masiani city ideologically pull apart. And United States of America even they were against China. There is the communist China entry into United Nations memberships and Security Council. Now their interest is aligning. Main challenger during that period of time for United States of America is USSR, not China. And imung jida khana raga laire, ideological families jida khana raga laiba tanja si lauraga United States of America se China the chang. They want to build relationship with China. Madu chang da udu kana mating pangani Pakistan na middleman. Nang nupi mo pame khalone. Stranger to the direction hang over the Fartadro. Mama khangna ba common friend thirakane ba. The same thing. Pakistan played the middleman. So what we are witnessing is USA, Pakistan, and China exist. In the face of this exists, Indira Gandhi chose to go for war with Pakistan and give birth to a new nation called Bangladesh. Other India na karawain tawul. Asine understanding the political environment and geostrategic environment. India now went to get closer to USSR. India don't have a choice either. Two power, bipolar. Three the quite powerful country block ani. Block amadi som side low. Do India have a choice? Housing non-alignment of non-alignment of lower. So what did India do? Go and sign peace treaty with USSR. And then what happened? Madhu treaty to sign ta ukraba matung data lanje horakuneko. Not before that. Defense treaty is signed ta Lan matam sida USSR, the United States of America, they sent their warship into Indian Ocean to warn against India. And what did USSR do? They also sent their warship. And so effectively, the two powers were neutralized. And India has upper hand over Pakistan, and we have a new country called Bangladesh. And After this war, we have what we call the Simla Agreement. Uzi Pakistan suspend or escape or higher level. We'll come to that later. So this is what we see in the period 71 to 91. Greater Regional Indian Assertion. 1991, 1990, radical rethinking and safeguarding strategic autonomy. You know, asida 1990s the kari, late 80s and 90s the India the kari. What happened in India? Economic crisis, balance of payment crisis. USSR India ki ngasai India ki tamo phagak phaina lepam USSR do it disintegrated. Disintegrate tawra. India the balance of payment crisis se laira. Asi lairak padadi what do we do? Hana ekoi plan economy, the control economy, mixed economy ni adubu more dominant by public sectors and the government. Now we liberalize our economy. And then now we started engaging with multiple partners, with United States of America, Israel, all of it. And then egg is policy. Egg is policy. How does it start? 1991, 1991, the US in disintegrate India balance of payment crisis, economic crisis, the unit trade relations to increase your forex reserves. And your biggest partner, USSR, is now in shambles. Unit partner. America the direct sang budi yaro na. Ha. Adi mi ani khanaram madu nang atopa gang madu yauri ni. Gang leader do sigre. Direct US sang madu fraita tadro. What does India do? Act is policy. East the kanalai. The Asian countries, very close to United States of America, and also they are predominantly trading in dollars. Foreign reserves, what do you do? Now you start engaging with Asian countries in order to increase your trade activities and also at the same time indirectly increase better relationship with United States of America. That is what we do. Asini, this is what we witness. And then also safeguarding our strategic autonomy. Strategic autonomy in simple word, USSR became the strategic autonomy in essence it is just a continuation of policy of NAM. Strategic autonomy the high with the Karino high matamda Akoigi decisions Akoina Lauzagani. Any atopa country na influence Tauraga Akoji Lauroi high. Akoina pay Akogi the Akogi country pay high decision to the Akoina Lauzagani, not under the influence of any other countries. Strategic autonomy. So this is what we do. So safeguarding strategic autonomy and all of that. So now 1999 to 2013, India as a balancing power. How's it power? India is a balancing power. I will Karino. How's it? What we are seeing is the rise of China and other countries. I have the unipolarity, multipolar. So India is now emerging as a swing state, a balancing power. I will Karino. I will multipolar. Suppose power say now India is now emerging as one of the biggest economy in the world. Future potential to work. India na changu came to hena lung in simple word layman term the hierarchy balancing power. Akoi home se noi mari se bol lepe ne. Noi mari se bol lepe ba. Iwan in changu from the boat car natra balancing wheel in simple layman term the hierarchy. So, and also now, after 2014, what we are now witnessing is, yes, India still remain a balancing power and a swing state, but also we, at the same time, we are striving to be a global power. This is what we see in India foreign policy. Then, actually, I wanted to okay, let's just take 2-minute break. In detail, we'll come here. Okay. So, akhoi foreign policies yeng se ko pre 2014 and post 2014 there is Modi era ko. Pre Modi era da akhoi ne kari ui. Political diplomacy. Ayambana. Have the your diplomacy based more on by politics have tare ko. Political diplomacy. Adubu post Modi era the more focus on economic diplomacy. Free trade agreement, investment, focus on technology, energy, International Solar Alliance. Just one example. Investment, focus, energy security focus. Third worldliness, nature of a leader of the global south. How's enlightened self-interest based on cooperation. Oh, no, apartheid tawre, ako yaning the independent movement, ako support tawi, hawing na kariyere, Buddha sa le. O no, khanari bra, no, the karikana balay, middle ground. Myanmar da kan kap khai nari, mi hanari, niya tumil lay residi. Dem amana pro democracy ni amana dictatorship ni. Largest democracy, ako kay tawre, ying. Natro. Third world leader, idealism, barjao. How's no? Realism, ko. Enlightened self-interest. Idealism, now pragmatism. The hyphenated of Israel-Palestine, the hyphenation of Israel-Palestine relation, for example, Israel-Palestine issue, what we are witnessing is either you are for Palestine or you are for Israel. For example, United States of America, pro-Israel. Pakistan, pro-Palestine. India, di. Israel, Prime Minister Unagani, aduga Gaza, and also we're dealing with Israel just for the sake of Israel. Nothing, the relationship with Palestine or the Arab countries may have influence of So that is the idea. Passive spectator or a protest voice on international stage. Hanil Lauramba, protest Lauramba. What do we see? Assertive and confident. Assertive, which is the assertive example, the khara Doklam issue. What did India do? Stand off. We don't back down. Protest. Now, assertive. India. Common but differential responsibility. Climate change developed countries environmental organizations India no coal carbon emission no yaman carbon emission kaktharo Prithvi mein apul China gandawani na mara morga mein amlo shita are India na kari hai Prithvi da ada mathak te lairiba greenhouse gas mein amlo the industrial revolution mein amlo no tap time thado amaga hauji ekoi na develop torop matam da kari ekoi lepo hai no simple adunadi kari hai ni hare adudi ekhoisu responsibility dilawgani adubu noisu responsibility noina hana tawrambadugi responsibility du law assertiveness ko surgical strike just few example ko abolition of article 370 hana tawrampote khanju khalam nunga amala aga article 370 hata de loire assertiveness but very calculated risks ne ko but this is a good one and collaboration collaborative India COVID diplomacy. COVID matamda India collaboration with international organization and other multilateral organization and other countries. And then Quad Poiro. Just examples, Neko. This is what we are seeing in India. And now these are the key pillars of India foreign policy after independence. Can you explain explanation to the call? So these are the key pillars of India foreign policy. Non-alignment, Panchil, leader of third world, economic development of India, recent emphasis higher new policy initiatives. focus on sub-regional cooperation. BIMSTEC, Mekong Ganga, Indian Ocean. How's kitang blur di chat kibi ay do asim yam se class lower paganda clear ora kaniko, but this is a big eye picture. Look is tagina how's ek is tela kare koi policy se ko. Look west tagina look west and link with west ko policy changes se. And then energetic outreach to Indian diaspora. Howdy Modi, Parvasi Divas, all that. See, this is the neighborhood first policy. As I'm saying, these are the new policy initiatives in India. As you covered that, I'm talking to why? Because this is what India is doing. Now, challenges to India foreign policy. India ki foreign policy conduct matamda like challenges to the Carino. Geopolitical shift. Geopolitical shift. Hana United States of America na unipolar world or using multipolar desert kare. Maduda akogi khwaidigi berakari ibdi karino the rise of China. China se karigino our immediate neighbor. And also we have conflicting interests. Competing and conflicting interests in economy also. And unresolved border disputes. And also we have gone for one major war and other small other skirmishes and battles throughout our checkered history. So rising China is a concern for us. Geopolitical shift. Rising China and its assertiveness, and also in the face of this, balancing relation between Russia and United States of America. United States of America ga Russia se, they are traditionally rivals. Cold War hangover, and then now, how do India balance? Hanadi unipolar world matamda or Cold War matamda, India was more on the side of USSR. Unipolar lakiba matamda gidi, we are moving towards them. Do India want a unipolar world? The answer is no. India also wants to immerse itself as a global leader, global power, multipolar. That is what they are doing. Masi lako matamda balance to matamda Russia is one will, balancing will for us. But now the situation is such that India need to balance these two relations. United States of America also relation, we need good relation with them. At the same time, Russia also, we need to have good relation with them. More than 80% of your high-tech weaponry comes from Russia. And one of the highest import destination for India, the importing nation. We import a lot from Russia, defense equipment, and also energy security. At the same time, United States of America. Balancing will, okay, for balancing China. And also, at the same time, emerging engagement, technology the bureau, investment the bureau, economic relations the bureau. Balancing these two. Example, Russia-Ukraine war. Russia-Ukraine war matam se the USA want India to be on their side. Russia want India to be on their side. Russia ga India ga we have good trade relations. United States of America sanctioned Russia. What do we do? Balancing these two rival powers because of the shift in geopolitics is a challenge for us. Ani subda regional power dynamics. Ekoi region the last. Regional power dynamics the karino again China. Ekoi region the haragadi China. China ga Pakistan ga increasing nexus. China-Pakistan economic corridor. Pakistan gi through India occupied Kashmir, Pakistan occupied Kashmir to pass through Tauraga access to Arabian Sea for China. Or in India, China will do that in today's class. I'll do that in detail the Tauraga. Growing nexus between Pakistan and China, and also increasing China's presence in the region. Nepal Buoiro, in India's neighborhood, Nepal Buoiro, Myanmar Buoiro, Sri Lanka Buoiro. Sri Lanka Hambantota port, leased for decades and decades given to China. Growing China's influence. Influence in Maldives and also India's neighborhood. There is a growing challenge for India. Global economic uncertainties. COVID matamda economic disruption lairakpa, adudagidi protectionism, protectionist trade policies countries in adopt orapa, and then the trade war that is going on between US and many countries, especially with China. All of this. Terrorism threat, explain non-traditional security threat, like hybrid warfare, lone wolf attack, cyber attack, all of this. Energy security. Energy security, perhaps one of the most important pillar of India foreign policy and India's security concerns. Non-traditional security, your economy is driven by, and your nation is driven by energy. But we are an energy deficient country. We import. And from where do we import? Mostly from West Asia. And this West Asia is one of the most volatile regions in the world. So energy security. Safety and security of Indian diaspora. Now India is now emerging itself as a global power. Also at the same time, we have huge diaspora, Indian origin, people of Indian origin, Indian diaspora in many parts of the globe. So their protection is also your responsibility. You need to protect their interests. For example, the issue of violation of human rights of workers, migrant workers in West Asian countries. India has to protect them. Nang nasagi citizen do nang protect then who are you? That's the question. Israel, yes, they have been victim to, you may agree with their policies and actions or not, but they have been victim to so many of the attacks on its citizens. But what did Israel do? At least credible deterrence pirina. Maybe not right now. How's it? Laman kumdragasu. What you see is, what we see in Israel policy is, they take care of their citizens. Anywhere in the world happen, just note down the date and date entry to Thanamo. Something will happen with those people responsible. That is what we see. Munich Olympic, Israel Olympians in hard kill. And what did Israel do? They kind of hunt down almost all the people involved in that and kill them. Bomb thamdilla khara hat, telephone bomb thamdilla khara hat. They kill almost all of them involved in that. Protection of its citizens. And India given safety and security of Indian diaspora. Why? Because Indian diaspora is now almost higher. Indian diaspora is now present in every continent of the world. So their safety and security. It's also challenges for India's foreign policy. So, the challenges, how do we deal with it? Way forward. Greater realism in policy. Idealism, democracy, we believe in the value and principles of democracy. So we will support democracy against authoritarianism, dictatorship, bahar mein gaye. Policy, realism. Your foreign policy should be grounded and should be based on realism. More grounded Indian approach in international relation. Use of smart power. Smart power have the hard power plus mixed power. Hard power, your military and your economic power. Soft power, in simple word, letting the other person do what you want. By other means, other than the hard power. In simple word, hard power and soft power should maybe, if needed, we will do one class on that. Maybe just 15-20 minutes. Yeah, so for now, just go on with the class. Leveraging global environmental and economic growth. Engage with multiple partners. India, US ka engage tauri. Howdy Modi, event. Mamalapuram, China ka engage tauri. Doklam India ka China ka border the Fuga we make sure that we engage with them. Engagement with multiple partners. China and United States of America. They are in trade war now, adversaries. But we engage with both of them. The same with Russia. West Asia, we engage with Iran, we engage with Iran, main number one enemy, US, Israel, India, engage with. Grounded in realism, engagement with multiple partners. Safeguarding strategic autonomy. US ki, for example, a quad yawe pare. Quad yawe hayeng pona US ka relation pare and I China ga lan chalani lan se yauro hai matam de India just because India is member of Quad or just because Quad se military alliance na teko just taking example China se ekoi adversary oi natraga USA se ekoi partner oi haraga will we go to war with China? The answer is no. Strategic autonomy. We will decide what is best for us, not influenced by anyone. Safeguarding our strategic autonomy. Calculated risk taking. Calculated risk taking in this challenging environment. Example, China and Pakistan factor in Jammu and Kashmir. But still, we remove Article 370. A very calculated. This is a risky one, risky move. Jammu and Kashmir dispute like evening. China and Pakistan growing nexus like evening. Article 370 law and not only these two, what about the response from other Western powers, global power? Response from United States of America. United States of America is known for taking the side of Pakistan on the issue of Kashmir in its history. But of course, that is also now changing. Global shift in geopolitics. But still, India took a calculated risk and revoked Article 370. And Doglam issue, Uri event, just few examples. This is what we should be doing. Reading the global landscape right. He explained how that we are. So these are the things that we should be doing and that we should be mindful of when we conduct our foreign policy. So now let us go to India neighborhood policy. India neighborhood policy, we will look at the policy that India adopted in general and also bilateral relation between India and its neighboring countries. So now, and Hanbada Gujarat doctrine neighborhood policy Gujarat doctrines come forth in the first place. See Gujarat doctrine mana foreign minister oiringaida Devi Gowda gi sarkar gi matamda ko mana pursue tauba adopt tauba doctrine ne. So masida kari hai. What kind of policy is Gujarat doctrine? Accommodative policy vis-a-vis its India's neighbor. It seeks friendship on the basis of sovereign equality and non-interference with non-reciprocal magnanimity. Hi, Badi. Now, first, before going to Gujarat doctrine, let us understand India and its neighbor. India gamag in neighbors in barring China. We have what we call the power asymmetry. Hi, Badi. Look at India, a very big nation with huge population, huge capabilities, military power, and economic resources. And you compare that with Bhutan or China, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Myanmar for that matter. Level amadala. For example, nang na Manipur do khwai di pesa pai ba mi oira. Nang gi lairiba neighbor mayam na daily laborer oira. Asi gi type neighbor khoi di lairi. Asymmetrical power, power asymmetry. Adu laibanina, what do Indian neighbors see? Indian neighbors see India see the big brother type who always interfere in internal matters. Adu picture jo hai uba. And also remember 1971. India and Pakistan war creation of new country called Bangladesh. Country amase thugai bang ambata argadi. Pakistan one of the biggest India's neighbor. Thugai bang amagadi Nepal karigi thugai bang amon. Bhutan karigi thugai bang amon. Sri Lanka karigi thugai bang amon. Sri Lanka also remember India peacekeeping force in Sri Lanka. Tamil issue kanana support tawi India Tamils. And not only that, Prabhakaran Hoi party say India the LTTE is India the training P hiring. Nepal the laku matam the southern part of Nepal, the Madheshis, India influence. So all of this. India ki neighbors India se kitan with skepticism. So and also we have already gone for war with two neighbors. And also India wants to emerge as a global power. 1990s is a decade of India's economic growth. Liberalization lakraba matung aduna political landscape se gyan taba darkar lai hai 1990s economic growth recovery, after that balance of payment crisis. reforms in Indian economy. India need growth during that time. So for that to happen, India need absolute peace with its neighbor, a peaceful relationship and understanding relationship with its neighbor. India don't need distraction from that growth path. So in this environment, Gujarat came up with this doctrine. Accommodative policy vis-a-vis its India's neighbor, seek friendship on the basis of sovereign equality, non-interference with non-reciprocal magnanimity. Suppose, oh, Phare, Nepal, nang kari darkar lai rahe ba, sorok darkar lai rahe, same be again. But I will not ask in return, do this. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, the same. Non-reciprocal magnanimity. I'm doing it for the sake of doing. So in simple word, layman term, so all this, Masigi Gujarat doctrine, there are some principles like non-interference, mutual respect for one another, all of that. So we need not go into that. In simple word, this is more than enough. Sovereign equality, non-interference, and non-reciprocal magnanimity. Masigi doctrine is based on Gujarat, India ki neighborhood policy se conduct or me ko. Adugi masigi weakness shulai naitavanate. For example, in Aki Gujarat, in its effort to stabilize or normalize relationship with Nepal, with Pakistan, it is said that he closed down the Pakistan special decks in Roe. Research and analysis wing, the Pakistan ki damak dedicated to the special decks se mana shut down to. And Madhu Oiravnina Rogi capabilities to a certain extent cartel. And it is also blamed as one of the reasons for intelligence failures in Kargil, 1999. Row special decks on Kashmir shut down to. And it is cited as one of the reasons for intelligence failures for 1999 Kashmir war. So, and the negative impact was Aki Gujarat Gujarat doctrine. Okay, so now, India neighborhood first policy nothing. India neighborhood first policy it is a policy according primacy and priority to improving relation with India's South Asian neighbors. So if you want to be a global power, Prithvi leader or at least you need to be a leader of your family and leader of your neighborhood. Pradhan ki member ki vote ka MLA vote ka simple word. This is what India needs. You need good relationship with your neighbors. And that is what India is doing. India wants to be a global power and he needs to have a good relationship with its neighbor and also it maintain its sphere of influence. So India ki neighborhood first policy is Gujarat doctrine. I have explained over. We don't need to go into the detail more than that. Improving economic relations and comprehensive development of all nations in the region. Peaceful resolution of bilateral disputes. India ka Bangladesh dispute में हम लेना. Landi tauna de kapkhaina dena ko. Fifth premises here India le rambi Nepal same thing. Sri Lanka same thing. Peaceful resolution to bilateral disputes. Creating stronger dependency bonds. Promoting connectivity. So these are activities or part of India's neighborhood first policy. So now let us go to importance of India neighborhood first policy. The neighborhood first policy se maru look here. Peace and stability, prosperity. Nangi reason the peace laitraba, stability laitraba, prosperity laitraba. You will always be distracted. Now India, Pakistan tensions. Economic problem like for example, see now, India is an energy dependency country. Asida India laira, Pakistan laira, asida oil producing region, resource rich region laira. India ka Pakistan problem laibana maram moiraga, hojikti samudra da through sea route. Ekoi energy, gas oil, crude oil oil laibre. Pipeline laira gadi, kamain tauba. Through Pakistan. Pipelines energy cost will be much cheaper and energy will be more secure. Energy security will be better in India. Adubu Iran economic cost plus securitization is needed. Security challenges. Simple access to Central Asia. for market, for critical mineral resources, and for energy. Same thing. So what we need, peace and stability in the region. It achieve or activate regional cooperation. South Asia say Bangladesh, Nepal, India, high South Asian regions. It is also one of the most disconnected region in the world. The connectivity infrastructure fazana laitaba or borders in the close for security reasons. So one of the most disconnected region in the world. Disconnected oiragadi in trade relationship laira trade relation laira tragadi economy growth nemtharani natra all that simple logic. Internal security imperatives. North insurgency that deal tawdo. North India the land solution ge hairagadi we need cooperation of Myanmar and India's neighbor. Pakistan da hojik laga terrorist attack andak tawgiudo Pakistan da laki. So you need a good relationship with your neighbors. Perception management. Elder but not big brother. India ki neighbor, how do India neighbors see India? Do they see India as a nosy big brother who always interfere in the political matters, who meddle with their internal affairs? And there are various allegations, which may be true also, of India meddling in Bangladesh relationship. India sponsoring certain candidates, certain parties in Bangladesh election. The same goes for Nepal also. So perception management. That India is okay, they are powerful than us. We have asymmetric power relation, but still they are not that nosy brother who interfere in our matters every time. Containment of increasing Chinese footprint. The main enemy in the region is Pakistan, China. Moi contain tauge haiba taragadi unit good relation with them. Hayeng Nepal na China ga direct railway connection lairani China ki military base lai halani had reclamain tau. The same goes for Myanmar. The same goes for containment of increasing Chinese footprints. Overcoming low integration. So these are the importance of India's neighborhood first policy. Now, challenges. Challenges in Indian neighborhood policies. First, increasing China's foray. China has a bigger economy, deeper pocket. So infrastructure delivery mo investment so they are increasing their presence in our neighbor. So Belt and Road Initiative to India ki neighbor masing thibia. Asymmetry in size. Explain the incomplete and delay project. One of the greatest drawback of India. Atopa country the chalani. Dam sabirani, lambi sabirani hairani. Project is delay tauba. Char Bahar Port, Iran, Ningsing Bra. Karak podo, adugi China guy cannot talk about mata amalai the Ningsing Bra. Happening. Project delay and incomplete. Nepal da, Bangladesh da, asidani tawrishe. Trade in competing goods. Bangladesh nasu, for example, India nasu, same good ta compete tarakpa. Andu orbataragadi, your interest is in the protection of your economy and your industries. Problem there. Fragmented connectivity. I explained over. Recent India uses of hard power, surgical strike, Balakot attack. Atop nations in if India is ready to cross the line of control, Indian Air Force is ready to cross the line of control and bomb, then they can do that well in other countries. 1999 Kargil War, LOC crossed the Indian Air Force. Crossed the surgical strike, Indian Air Force crossing the line of control, the international airspace hierarchy, line of control. So use of hard power. See, these are seen by India's neighbor with concern. So these are the challenges to India's neighborhood policy. See the contours. Now China. Interesting part. No iron is a class. China ga India ga relationship te hana house. China the house why because they're the biggest and also atopusing they could connect dot to connect over line of China ga India sida aina na Hanoi da hydro homework pi hivni kari line no border dispute lai rejana ha okay okay sida ma lai re ka asida Sasgam Valley hai na masa ma lai Pakistan na pitho ke ba adubu madugi close madugi moina pi ke ba agreement da close ma lai Aziki India ga Pakistan ga dispute che loire hai matamda China and the concerned party they will sit and discuss on the future of this China na prop claim to P roi hai du mudi laite ba ko subject to the agreement between the disputing parties asida notice and almost entire Arunachal di moina claim to re southern Tibet na hai na ko anduga asida eastern sector middle sector Uttarakhand ga Himachal Pradesh di except for few regions irai laite problem ko moigi kari valley hai bayam phazo valley to Spiti valley edo ada kita aduga atop area da khar yana da bakhra lai do not a major issue and perhaps this is the only sector where India and China exchange the map also khara sem yana ba lai se ko asom da mathak chang de upside chin capture ta ho so Sikkim India ki part of India ni not part of China hai except over 2013 da ko adubu finger swai matun sida marak marak ta scheme message se khara di lai ri ko so masida masigi line se the in kari ki damak dispute lai ri bano hai ba matam da India na hai resina McMahon line se this is the line separating India and China hai ba okay horen Tibet laku matam da we will discuss more do hojiki when the prelims ki perspective ta or CDS ki da khara khang na ba McMahon line ne ko sida asom the western sector sida moina McMahon line se accept of the Pakistan sorry China na asida western sector dana two line any line India na hai basina India na aksai chin claim to original Johnson line si lai ramun se Johnson line 1964 da proposed over British na masigi line sigi matung ina masigi map sigi matung ina aksai chin se now they're put within Jammu and Kashmir ki manung da chanba aksai chin se Johnson line ki matung ina de adubu masigi Johnson line se China na accept tawda China na aksai chin se ekhoi ni hana claim tawrisina karamba claim da no McDonald line the base tawraga McDonald line sina aksai chin se China ki territory da hapsinba so these are the problem adubu time scale se yengaga di Johnson line de 1865 ta propose tawuni ko same giving McDonald line sina 1890s da asigi shade ni yana this aduna India ga China ga border da line maru oiba ming mari lay line mari ko McMahon line asina khoi eastern sector Arunachal area ko LAC line of actual control hojik lai riba line se ko aduga disputed oiba oirakpagi maram oirakpa disputed issue sida chenariba line Johnson line amasung McDonald line hojik LAC lai riba se it more or less correspond with McDonald line ko so now let us go to India and China relation asida aina ngasa haibdo any country se gyan tage hairagadi madugi country dugi interest se karino what are the things that is dearest to them yeng se ko hanan bra China se yeng se China now you look at China what do you see China is a credible world power mo China se powerful country na te haibdi kuch huya yaar it is a credible power it has the economy money it has population it has political stability it has its ideology communist party ki ideology and it has a strong leadership important component of power a very credible power and what do we see in them we also see that they are expansionist in nature machet country mein amse lok silako se expansionist in nature that is what we see aduga China ki moi ki strategic imperative se karino ꯃꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤꯗꯃꯛꯇ ꯌꯥꯝꯅ ꯃꯔꯨꯑꯣꯏꯕ strategic imperatives. What are their concerns? Strategic concerns. ꯀꯔꯤꯅꯣ ꯍꯥꯏꯕ ꯃꯇꯝꯗ one is security of the core region. ꯆꯥꯏꯅꯥꯒꯤ ꯃꯦꯞꯁꯤ ꯗꯔꯀꯥꯔ ꯂꯩꯔꯅꯤꯀꯣ. Security of their core region. See mapsि ꯌꯦꯡꯉꯣ. China, a very big country. नत्रा चावनी. Okay. Security of their core region. One. अनिसुबदा maintaining internal solidarity. China so ikon hek China yengu matamda sakra manabagi chap manabo ning one ko. They are different people. Asom the Uyghurs, Inner Mongolia, Han group like ko Han Chinese are the dominant groups. Adu the gidi you have your Xinjiang rom the laiba say Uyghurs. Adu the gidi Cantonese. Adu the gidi Manchus. Different groups of people with different language. Adu moina unitary state oibanena dictatorship authoritarian oibanena asia lona makak chanagani loira. Her like one India the go lan ho loira down. So in maintaining internal solidarity is also more strategic imperative. First, protection of their core areas, maintaining internal solidarity, coastal protection. Coastal protection, see areas in coastal protection. Why? Their economy is export-driven economy, and majority of the trades through the sea route and also the cheapest route. More economy is karino, and as I have the export-driven economy. So you need defense of the coastal areas and your sea lanes of communications. So these are their strategic imperatives for China. That is what we see. And now, how do India see China and how do India see us or China see us? Yan hanbada Chinese ki keno se medyeng se no ina Chinese ki movies in yeng mo matam da khangani. No yeng mo matam da they will often use the word barbarians for anyone outside of inner China or their imperial China. Movies in yeng over atopa China gi nataba atopa countries or atopa country matai the peripheral labor ning thau leba ki lan town war movie or kari yemo you will often see them refer to those nations as barbarian. Chinese nataba atopa mo di barbarian ni hai bi type the that is the kind of attitude that they have, and they see China with disdain. They don't even consider China as India as number one rival. They're kind of more pain in thorn in your heels. So that is the thing. But India, China is the main rival in the region, and also a hostile neighbor to an extent. That is there. But if we look at the relation between China and India, they got independent almost around the same time. And from the very beginning, we see expansionist China. For their actions in Tibet and all of that. In spite of all of that, India say what we did is India. Okay, when China is independent, how did China emerge as independent country? As China we know now, that they fought the war. Remember, Communist Party singa Nationalist Party, Chiang Kai-shek Party ga Mao Zedong Party the Communist Party come out victorious. And we have the country what we call the People Republic of China. That is what we have. Maduna Masigi, during that time, Cold War, UN membership. The Lakomatam, so Western powers like US and UK, they are against China membership into UN. They want to give that Chinese seat to the nationalist group of Chiang Kai-shek. However, India supported China's entrance into United Nations, People Republic of China entrance into UN and also UN Security Council. And we did try to have a good relationship with them. So, Aduna, on that spirit, 1954, the 54 or 56 no verified or 54 di orang do mal Panchil agreement with Nehru signed tawre ka Panchil agreement sida kari kari yawi mutual respect for one another, non interference in each other domestic policies, mutual non aggression, mutual respect. But in spite of all of this, tensions begins between India and Pakistan. Adu masida akoina thangado amalai China gi ideologies. How did China look at India and its neighborhood? Akoina aina ngasai China gi strategic imperative ta security of the core region. China ki core region se secure oina thamba. The outer peripheral areas China ga India ga dispute areas what do you see? You will see that they are in the peripheral area. Inner or core China to protect the peripheral area the more sphere of influence or mokoina control the woman darkar later. Asida Mao Zedong gi kaino malay policy ma palm and the five fingers. Mao Zedong gi oinadi palm is the Tibet. Right hand say this is Tibet, and the five fingers are Arunachal Pradesh, Bhutan, Sikkim, Nepal, and Ladakh. Have five fingers then this is what we are seeing. Doglam Gadai, you know, tri-junction of Bhutan, India, and Sri Lanka. Sorry, China. Five fingers. Nepal was more influenced in the Communist Party of Nepal, the strongest party now in Nepal. Five fingers, the palm and the five fingers. They need to have control over this for security of the core region and maintaining all these more strategic imperatives may have to fulfill. And also, China, the Communist Party, yam close over article he lists down around 6 or 5 inevitable wars that China will fight in the coming century. India. Maybe propaganda, whatever it is, but the person who wrote that article is someone very close to Chinese Communist Party. Aduga China ki psyche. President Xi Jinping ki psyche. 100 years, centuries of humiliation. Because if we look at the history of China, starting from the Opium War, China has always been under the influence of foreign powers. Japan, the rape of Nanking, a dark phase in history. And the European powers in the land. Even Opium War, UK, East India Company, England lag opium you open that. You won't be at there land town Iran. If the Mokoi countries, Atopa countries in internal affairs medal and then powerful oiba, nationalist oiba, strong oiba powers in China the kind of they consider this era as a period of centuries of humiliations of China. I don't know Xi Jinping high 100 years of humiliation now time for China to rise. I think context and then the person that very close to the Chinese Communist Party article the inevitable war India gas so maybe war may not be war, different story. But I don't know how China see India as one of the countries with which they have rivalries. I think number 1.5 Ragasu. And also Mao Zedong, palm and five fingers. We see the outworking of that ideology. So keep that keep that in mind. And then slowly we will start unfolding what China is doing. So now but independence now coming back to independence. Panchil agreement signed, very good. And Nehru believed that China will never attack us. Now, Adubu Patel, very suspicious of China, the expansionist nature of China. He is more of a realist in India's establishment during that period of time. So, Adubu 1950s, late 50s Aswaida, what do we see? We started seeing Chinese incursion in Aksai Chin. Lambi se sum sarakpa. Why? Tibet se moine lausin kre. Soida, Tibet se lausin kre ko. Tibet se lausin kre. Tibet se lausin gibu matam su was it without any challenge? The answer is no. Tibetan want independence. And uprising ju lai raina. Uprising to fail to give Dalai Lama to India la. Even before that there was some skirmishes here. And also remember Cold War. They are fearful that United States of America or other Western power will support insurgency in Tibet. That was their fear. So they want to have complete control over here. And here, Xinjiang, Uyghur region, housing power problem like this. Actually, Pakistan, human right violation of minorities in India. Oh, chalo China da. Koi ko khak pe yaad rahe. Kya human right violation di top ro. Koi khak pe yaad rahe. See, Uyghur region. Uyghur se ayamana Turkish origin karo mixing se ko mixed race kind of type, but majority are Muslims. Isi area sira. Mokoi yam sensitive oiba borderland. Aduga yam sensitive oiba kitang volatile oiba region ani se. Masi ani se connect taunaba lambi se ekhoi Aksai Chin da phaw. Always the only route during that time connecting Aksai Chin and Tibet. No, Tibet and Xinjiang, the two restive provinces of China. Aksai Chin through the power. That is the importance of Aksai Chin for them. So, lambi saab ho rahe. But this is against India's claim of Aksai Chin. India considers Aksai Chin as part of Jammu and Kashmir. Moina somda lambi se sajin ho rahe. Asumana lairinga in context sida Tibetan singna revolt se kaur rahe. Revolt se horapu matam dadi kaidau rahe Dalai Lama India da chela and India give asylum to Dalai Lama. China saw rahe. Panchil agreement karino is Dalai Lama against land hogun padonang asylum kari period no. India na sundang adalambi sari to di. This is what is happening. Tension je grew to ho ne ko. So that tension finally escalated into war in 1962. So Madugi history to the because history is not our domain. So now ado housing in the background how China see India more strategic imperatives over the housing India ga China ga issue se karino ihan hanbada border issue da line humari do no prelims yengre ko border issue sida Aksai Chin Aksai Chin area sida Arunachal Pradesh pudi moina southern Tibet ni hai considered the and also why do they want Arunachal Pradesh? Because Arunachal Pradesh kibutga Chinese Tibetan areas close cultural ties but maybe not only that, also access to South Asia and also water. Arunachal Pradesh because Brahmaputra se ekoina hoy asom da China da gidi yam long stretch chelai ko but adu water collection is some research put the majority of the water collection took place in India. And the forest reserves and all the resources ko plus to tinkle with India. No, that may be there. Then Aksai Chin dadi. I know Aksai Chin the importance the high water. Again, water. Plus the strategic position of Aksai Chin, connecting link between Xinjiang and Tibet, and also connection to Arabian Sea and South China through Aksai Chin, Gilgit-Baltistan, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, Pakistan, and Arabian Sea. All these calculations. That is why Aksai Chin is important to them. Aksai Chin India ke namak karigi maru ori no. If you look at Aksai Chin area, nothing, barren land, grass and bohau it's a barren land. Why are we losing lives? Why are we spending millions and billions of money fighting that war in that terrain for that piece of land which has nothing? Again, India gives you water. plus Aksai Chin access to Central Asia and China is like Central through Aksai Chin access to Central Asia access to plus the geostrategic location. We don't want China to encircle us. All of these considerations. Then Asomda. Border dispute, major flashpoint, western sector and eastern sector. Middle sector is like that. So there is a border dispute that we have. Then any Shuba issue se kari, India ga China ga issue se da flashpoint is Tibet. Chini. And perhaps the best card and the only card that India has against Pakistan, against China. Tibet se. Tibet se, akoy ni yeng matamda Tibet ki history se. Tibet se, yes, they were part China ki empire, mainland China, the base of empire sing se yeng matamda. When they are powerful, they have greater control over Tibet. Adubu moy mapangan solak ko matamda Tibet more or less function as an autonomous power. Aduga and Tibet during colonial time. Akoy the international relation nainaba matamda colonial legacy se adum lairakani ko. Why? Because the borders are drawn by them. Akoy na ego border na te, ye ko border na te ba. Colonial master ni iramba border hoy na. We will always have colonial legacy. Tibet se the early decades, the first and second decades, somewhere around the early decades of 20th century, become a battleground. 1900 so I Russia su emerging power in Europe. China, East India Company natre British colony during that time. India was an important British colony during that period of time. Aduna British na India ki neighborhood ta atopa country, atopa powerful country in Europe influence labor palm, which may challenge India positions, which may challenge its position in India. Because they don't want to lose India. Because India is the golden goose, which like golden eggs for them. They don't want to lose. So what happened is, Tibet sida no se concern kar lai rakwa. The central authority jo pangan sola nina. Adi China ki ko. Duka di Russia ki influence kar lai rakhe tarokwa. Asida British government sent an expedition under Young Husband expedition 1904. Then after that, Lhasa Convention 1906 signed Taura. India, Britain ga, China ga. Aduda China, Britain wanted China to give up its sovereignty in Tibet. China refused. Adu at last in 1907, Russia and British government. They again sit down for one convention, Anglo-Russian convention. And there they accepted the sovereignty of China over Tibet. Adubu revolution in China in 1911. What happened in that revolution? China ki dynasty, imperial dynasty se muthat kreva dutagidi. Nationalist government and then the Communist Party land haurani duai har later. King dynasty hai QING ko King dynasty. China se ruled over dynasty se the last imperial dynasty of China muthat kre. 1911 revolution da dynasty laitra imperial monarchy dynasty se laitra. Adu duai matam adu da Tibet na hai Tibet expelled all of the Chinese forces, Chinese powers, representatives, and they declared themselves independent. But that declaration is not accepted by independent China. Contentious oidra Tibet ki position je ko. So adwane lairingai tanja sida China na 19 communist China na Tibet che lausin le. Tibet che lausin kre. Tibet che lausin kre, and then but the people of Tibet, there are certain groups which oppose Chinese occupation of Tibet. And China, as I always say, the Communist Party did not believe in religion. But Tibetan identity is centered on their religious identity. And religious repression and suppression. We see revolution in 1959 in Tibet. Fail oire posida Dalai Lama's India chelaye and India gave asylum. And now Tibetan government in exile. Dharamsala. We have the Tibetan government in exile there. Dalai Lama is there now. So that is the brief history of Tibet. So now, Tibet se kari ki damak ta China ki damak adu ki matik maru oiribano hai matamda. One is geostrategic imperatives. Protection of the core region. They fear insurgency and all of that emanating from China, from Tibet. So they need to have firm control over Tibet. One. Anisuda buffer zone. Core area do protect on buffer zone darka laitra. Buffer zone. Ahum subada geo-economic. The rich resources, oil, mineral, forest that is in Tibet, and most important, water. Tibet is often referred to as the water tower of Asia. Water tower of Asia. Aduna Chinese ki plan, they have this plan. Tibet te lai river, southern rivers lai river, ising se northern China the divert town. China se ko yam chow no udra. But you look at the physical map, deserts, inhabited areas, yam never. Water deficient. They want to divert the water of Tibet into northern China. That is the plan. So, aduna Brahma Chelani, man hai future war in South Asia, a future war in Asia will be water war. And this is becoming a reality day by day. Because water is being now increasingly weaponized. Indus Water Treaty, example. Future also dum laani. Presidency lairabni dum laani. Nothing to be surprised. So this is the importance. And geopolitical Tibet will give you access to or will take you closer to South Asia, Nepal, Bhutan, and through that, Arunachal Hai, they consider it as part of Southern Tibet. And Myanmar, Bangladesh, South China, South Asia and Southeast Asia, link, political importance. So all of this make Tibet very important for China. India ki oinasu karigidamak maru oribno. Perhaps they are the only card that India has. The only card and the best card that India has against China. Dalai Lama. Because Dalai Lama is the religious head of Tibetan community, Tibetan society. And your head is with you. Their head is with you. Adubu problems karino hai matamda. Time is running out. Because Dalai Lama ki position it's a permanent kind of permanent position. Reincarnation laye. Mogi ideology, mogi religious belief ki unity. Dalai Lama will be reincarnated again. Koshi ekhoi ki hoji ki Dalai Lama se chahi sam surani. 90 or 90 or mal. Sam linate. 89 do alevne. I think handak se 90 gati surakro mal. 90 surani handak June July do ala. Kari guma si ki utar de kamain tau. China has already put on process to appoint new Dalai Lama. It's already there. Time is running out, right? And also, China ki sathi bhai jangge. Usually Dalai Lama se appoint over matam se the religious ceremonies like rituals based on vision, sign, adugumba based or Dalai Lama se khan maneva. Dalai Lama khan matam the senior monks, the lamas, senior lamas, and Panchen Lama, head of this senior monks. Asina moy mayam sina Dalai Lama se khan ngaro neva. Akoi hojik Dalai Lama sina angang masa maming duti kaore Panchen Lama, the leader of the lamas, who is instrumental in selecting the next Dalai Lama. Khan ngaro yun pa se identify taureva. Identify tauboga China na tauriji karino, hojik Panchen Lama do China na pagre, and we don't know where he is. The park is the Hojik Hanuramani, we don't know. But we don't know where he is. But China says that he is living a normal life. We don't know. And what did China do? They appoint their own Panchen Lama. China na planta origin the Karino. Dalai Lama is she the next Dalai Lama is China na Khalani. Adubu, luckily for us, Dalai Lama come out with a new book very recently, March. Voice of the voiceless. The next Dalai Lama will be born in free country. China the poor and the China appointed Dalai Lama will not be respected by the Tibetan people. Although Dalai Lama ek laikidaba matamda Dalai Lama se khanbada irang ama thokadoreba adu Dalai Lama gi position se China na hek ngamkiba taraba akoigi oinadi it's a very strategic loss for us and perhaps we have lost the best card that we have against China. So and aduna Dalai Lama se China na madugi process to mo new Dalai Lama khanna tawrapu matamda we increase our security cover to our present Dalai Lama also. We need to protect him. So this is an ongoing kind of out mapan thoga fugai na bdina taba but manung the intrigue me hamse ko chanari. So voice of the voiceless. Exam ko tha mo kanan even when hang maybe not UPSC to other exam. Why? Because Dalai Lama is an important person for Dalai Lama even 14 name asena. So aduga India ki Tibetan policy sidachu inconsistent khara oiba push. Ako kari Dalai Lama asylum di pire. Adu mathang de koi kari tawro no ingaw ngawri India se. Or strategic frontier force Tibetan gi refugee na dominant oiba force ma di leire ko. Adu madu gi force to power publicly India acknowledge tawdeba. Atam kuina publicly acknowledge tawba kuidrina. Aduga Modi na mana hana kaino ga oirapon matamda yam publicly Dalai Lama birthday the wish tawse publicly tawda. And they keep the event low key. And also in the past Tibetan sing na Chinese ki embassy the protest tawo gumba thing ba Tibetan sing na India the thank you high again event organized tawge hai gumba Delhi de support tawra tawhanda ba gumba ko kitang inconsistent oi ba madugli mami su khartai India Tibetan policy ko adubu hauji kitang masigi Tibetan policy sida India sa kitang assertive oi ba di ure. For example 2024 US ki delegation ma India the lakh pa sida that delegation went to Dharamsala to meet Dalai Lama. Asi positioning never say we support the institution high never. China won the message spirit never. Dalai Lama idhar hai. Aduna US delegation go there and meet Dalai Lama in Dharamsala. And the same US delegation come back to India to New Delhi and meet Indian officials in New Delhi again. I don't know how the US official visit to Dalai Lama is not without the tacit support or the agreement or support of the Indian government. I have never found. So we are also kind of giving message. And also Modi becoming more public of its engagement with Dalai Lama. This is what we are saying. And the question of succession of Dalai Lama is going to be Tibetan issue. It is going to be one of the most important when it comes to Tibetan issue. And good for India. As you lyrics say, Dalai Lama high international relation ki dynamic way chance. Hana no Hana last year mains ki tam matam dari kari hai kambra tai kambra Dalai Lama matang si tak because it's important. India need to rope in the present Dalai Lama in order to address the issue of future Dalai Lama. Adu the higher meaning. Obviously, Dalai Lama come up with a book, Voice of the Voiceless. The next Dalai Lama will be born in 3 countries to carry out the work of the Dalai Lama. Simple. Aduna haibudi Dalai Lama gi machin dagina. Next Dalai Lama se atopa country the puani hairabni na. China gi any appointed Dalai Lama se kitang problem di leratra. Because remember, Prime Minister ki post na teba Dalai Lama se. It is a religious figure. Aduna religious figure it's something that is very emotional. And the spiritual aspect yauri na nang Prime Minister President Khandal man to khan mi kitang wa ne kasi ko. And China knows that. But in all likelihood, China will all appoint their own Dalai Lama. Panchen Lama do maangre na kay daw ngamni kem te Maybe what they try to do first is they were trying to suppress the religious ideologies, religious belief. But religion is such that spiritual dynamics is something that is very difficult to suppress. Even in atheistic country like Russia and China. Suppress China na religion is suppressed karamba country no suppressed Kallo. China tried it. They failed in Tibet and also in mainland China. Now China also has one of the fastest growing church. China picture se ja ja ni Chinese nupi mana ai Jisu ni hai ma da su lai ri ni ja ja ni thore ise. So but religious belief to be one in a cause. So there is something that you cannot suppress. So Dalai Lama, I think the odds are a little bit in our favor. Now that Dalai Lama has come out in public and said that he'll be born in the next Dalai Lama will be born in free countries. So Tibetan issue ni se. Then atopa issues with China hairagadi trade deficit. India ga China se aduki matik trade deficit ti laire. So sigo okay, water kita kitang amtang ganay na kisi ko. Tibet water gisu oire adubu water specific oina. Masi karigino hai madam aina su hai kre water is increasingly being weaponized. And scholars like Brahma Chelani says that future war in Asia will be war on water. So now masigi water ki issue da India ga China ga problem la iribasi karigino hai madam da India and China we do not have water sharing treaty. Bangladesh ka ekoi water sharing treaty lai. Pakistan ki Indus water treaty lai. China ga ekoi water sharing treaty lai te. Asi ni problems. Adubu matam ki oina data sharing mechanism di lai. Monsoon da kari da ko. Adubu su paisa charge tau. That is there. So and also China ki problems in a moina upper riparian state. Moina turin miyam se China de ki chintha rakpani na. Hausi India na Indus water treaty da ekoi afau sare se kari no upper riparian state. Ekoi na mathak de lai bagi ne ba. China ki jo same ne ba. Moina mathak da pham me ni na. Dam bu thingera industrial disaster bu thada gera kosi ne ba moina tau khai ri se. Hausi great bend na moi dam ma sa ni khai ri na sida. Brahmaputra is my life Arunachal is my thick like ma pa do. Ko this is what they do. Aduna khabar namara marka ka thengna rakani Brahmaputra gi turen gi ising masu tongana laega ina thengna rakani ko. So that is what is happening. Water sharing treaty like that. Do data sharing se fazana pinning the talk like na ko khara inconsistency oirakba. Adubu what we need is aduna moi issue like re and I nang sa haibdo asidagina asom da note sing se divert down moi plan like re. Adubu high river area se Himalayan region tectonically active area ni earthquake prone area ni ecologically fragile area ni dam se sajillo earthquake ising do kaitharaga flood. Two examples. The danger associated with dams or big projects in Himalayan areas. And the worst part is those projects are not under our control. And those projects can well be weaponized. This is the issue. India the karita. This is the question. India the partner China ga China the laga India power ga tari baturen or natraga China upper riparian state oiraga makha the turen trans border rivers share tawri India khaktana teba India ki neighbor Brahmaputra Bangladesh ka share tawrina asom the Southeast Asia rom Mekong river share tawrina the Mekong river is the Chinese ki big dams ki environmental impacts faced over India can come together with the lower riparian states can come together and put pressure on China. And also China wants to have influence here. This is what we can do. And the other thing that we can do is international law gi matung inna kaya malay ko principle amalay prior appropriation right haina ko prior appropriation right. Prior appropriation right. Prior appropriation right. Masigi matung inna suppose turen je si lai re. Agi kanam de si naram re turen gi sing se. Asida border lai re, asida India lai re, asida China lai re. India na dam se hana sajil. Sajil na masigi turen da sing se ko ne si na bahor. ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯃꯗꯨꯗ ꯏꯁꯤꯡꯒꯤ ꯔꯥꯏꯠꯇ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯀ꯭ꯂꯦꯝ ꯇꯧꯈ꯭ꯔꯕꯅꯦꯕ ꯀꯔꯤꯒꯨꯝꯕ ꯆꯥꯏꯅꯥꯅ ꯁꯤꯗ ꯗꯥꯝ ꯁꯦꯝꯒꯠꯂꯦ ꯑꯗꯨ ꯑꯣꯏꯔꯗꯤ ꯆꯥꯏꯅꯥ ꯏꯟꯗꯤꯌꯥꯅ ꯉꯁꯥꯏ ꯏꯟꯖꯣꯏ ꯇꯧꯔꯝꯕ ꯏꯁꯤꯡꯗꯣ ꯔꯥꯏꯠꯇꯣ China have to take into account. In simple word, China na sadringeda hana sajillo haibnebo. Right to hana appropriate to horo haibnebo. So that in future, China na tarapu matamda because of right appropriation right, you will have better share on that water, on the resources. Adubu China is China. China do not respect international law. But it will also China whether China respect international law or not depend on power balancing of China and the future geopolitical environment. China na hojik mukhai bangam mi hidi karino mapangan lai bagi. Hana China na independent horok adi kitang mo industrialize horok matam na mo nine dash line gado toram brane South China si claim toram poteva. With increasing power, increasing influence. Chances Andaman and Nicobar Islands China na claim toram na chance lai rin. Why? Because one Chinese general has a history here in this region, general naval officer. And to claim torai ko ini hai bihari. Possible. It all depends on your powers. So pride appropriation right is in aba lower riparian states in punchil laga river issues ida India ki side to purakpa. This is what we can do on water. Edu mundi munarani but munaring tanja munasi matau karam na India ki beneficial all the mong munagani hai bada. These are the things that we can do. Aduga masigi reverse ida China ki geopolitical influence. For example, okay, next point do in yahan se do. यहाँ अनबदा कोई करी हो रहा है border dispute हो रहा है अदुदगी Tibet issue हो रहा है water issue हो रहा है trade deficit से येंगम मतमदा trade deficit से इंडिया का येंगम चाइना का येंगम मतमदा अदुकी मतिक लाइक है 2021 दा इंडिया का चाइना असी 2024 की डाटा अदुम येंगो 2024 की डाटा येंगो असी तो same thing हो रहा है trade deficit लाइक we are buying more from China then we are selling them, importing more. Trade deficit say 2021 that's 69.4 billion trade deficit. How's it yam money ko? Latest data is no go no answer you know but in simple word data do ningsing mangam drusu trade deficit lai rahe yare. Trade deficit lai riba trade deficit si ekoi matau karamna deal tauba ngam gani or matau karamna ekoi effectively deal tawuni hairagadi first internal and external balancing haibadi trade deficit se nang laire trade deficit lairi budu madun haibadi karino nang mangondagi na laigado darkar laiba pot se hena yamme haibaneba nang mina darkar lairi budu dagi hena nang na darkar laire haibaneba adu eragadi nang in nasagi manufacturing capacities nasagi self reliant oi hanu mathau tadro for example hoji gyo nakhoina ekhoina aina ngang oina horapu matamda laidibi angangsing hojik sanabada laidibi sanaba kayam yaurege in our time there is what aina laidibi ki example law revise karino haiba matamda one of the industries which is one of the most affected industries in India toy industries in ever Chinese dominated go to any toy shop yengoba listo it will be dominated by Chinese product laidibi mang re karigino China the cheap made industrial product plastic product to akhoi local handmade price to compete tawong amatre durability to compete tawong amatre hanadi una sava gari jeep ka am lai ramane koro ka tara helicopter ki type ta ma pung mo lai ne in ma na ko am lai ramane all gone as example adu just example toy industry example ne ko so internal balancing tawo matamda you have to improve or you have to improve and work on your domestic production capabilities self reliant hoye hairagadi ko so adu madarkar type plus external balancing trade nangi external balancing di kari lakani engaging with other countries for example diversification adubu problem with China se kari no hairaga akoina China dagi lawri bo pochai jingse greatest moina market dominant hoiba photovoltaic cells for example active pharmaceutical ingredients example China dominant hoiba asini problems India is a pharmacy of the world ne hairi generic drug same the power even adubu generic drug to same the query maru oire masa active pharmaceutical ingredients to the kadai de fam China de law more than 80% dependency I believe the 50 definitely more than 50 as in India problems so you need to improve your domestic capability also at the same time diversify and engage with other countries. So this is what we can do. Then, and I see the engagement with Asian countries. Trade China की trade dominance to fight हो गया है रगड़ी. Asian countries का जो engage तो मत होता है करिए नो नंगी trade economy से हैंग ना बा economic growth employment aina trade hai matamda just import export to khak set khra begine when we look at the economy asymmetrical economy se yeng matamda China ki dominant influence asigi area sing sida China ki dominant influence lairaga is not good for us aduna akoi su moi ki area da yalaga akoi ki kitang footprint bawdi tham mathau ta na ko so all this internal and external balancing non yaure sida then trade yaure adudagidi yes maru oiba hauzik ki oina India ga Pakistan China ga issue sida lairiba thorn se karino tingkang je manga su da lairi se China roadblock to India march towards being a global power China hauzik tawrisi yo Indian nuclear supplier group ya ho gaya hai China no UN Security Council se reform tawrisi India se member ho gaya hai China no important organizations in India na yaoge India ki global presence se hengar hange India ki power profile se hengar hange hona ba matam da China na hek roadblock pirakpa this is what we see even in economy also hauzik China aina ngasai water hydra water hydra matam water issue sida India na Brahmaputra turen sida dam ama sana ba hona kiba through the funding of Asian Development Bank China's influence in Asian Development Bank prevented that loan to India. But nevertheless, 2023, India announced that they will build a big dam in Arunachal Pradesh. Announced it. But the question is, India is not China. China की सीधे dam सारनी लोयर है. आई गिलाम ने ओके फरे चाकरो तांथोनी. India the environmental groups in लाकनी. Environment, biodiversity, the tribal groups in Lakani, displacement issue, rehabilitation issue. We are a democracy. Process equally slow over. Moigina, authoritarian over hecta nam khai diaba. Students in protest or 10,000 buhauna bro. Tiananmen Square. Protest or 10,000 live. Akairi, Adudagi China, the democracy banalo and cow. That is China, but that is not us. Echo model city. We may go slow, but we will take everyone along. Accommodative process. So I prefer living here. China the colony. Aduna China the growth what we are seeing is only the growth. At China city within this decade, poverty me growth yes, very true. Other side of the coin is authoritarian policy float. Cultural revolution laku matam the Mao Zedong ki policy great leap forward to matam me million kya no chak sa phangda na sigi bata India da adu makti lai trina hoy poverty lai adu policies hoy badagi chak tang famine dhok na chak sa phangda na million kya no how many millions perish adu a population yamal le fare one child policy tawr se one child policy tawsil le population dekh la one child policy log thok rahe adu they are going to face that impact nahi do asini India the one child policy ay koi line hi aati it is against my religion belief one child policy bar mein yaad rahe bago adune ba so our process is slow but we take everyone along so that is the beauty of India asini India and China relation da issue lai ba ko aduga atopama yes and asida string of pearls and necklace of diamond gaino no ekta bra string of pearls karim is a policies where China want to circle India with many of its military facilities. Sri Lanka da Oman da kada da moi presence like halaga India se circle town no hona. Aduga India ga China ga relations da hangado one thing I missed out. Geostrategic aspect like her talk over. China se si like de ko. Moi gi kwai de gi maru oi cities sing se kada de like yo. Coastal area de like economic drivers sing se or close to the coast. Ying se ko Guangzhou. Ha. Hangzhou, Nanjing, adudagidi Shanghai. Ayamba coastal areas or close to the coast. And also moi economy is kaina kari high export driven economy. Energy dependent. Aduna moi energy se hojik Russia asomda kanna divert down bo honari ka. So adubu majority of the energy sector is here in West Asia. Export driven factory of the world. You won't know even what they say. Samudra power set. Lo Samudra power is the sea lane of communication. Samudra Gilambi say. Asida Swiss Canal City Lena. Europe chat kya hai so shortest route never seen Swiss Canal get through that. Adu Ivanina Moses Sida Gilani. South China Silla. La Aga Asida Malacca Strait. Asida power si set kido never. Adubu Moina Taurapada. He is a Lakumatam. Asida Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Malacca Strait get to the Pam later. That is why Andaman and Nicobar Island is regarded as the unsinkable aircraft carrier of India. In any event, Malacca Strait is a congested over state never called. Asida India cut off the India have more power here, more influence here. Andaman and Nicobar Island and naval power. I don't know how China na increasing their naval power. And also it influence in this region. For example, Sri Lanka da Hambantota. Asida Kanodasu, Myanmar dasu, Moina ports mayam sari ko. Asida all of these areas. Maldives ta in order to encircle India. As in a string of pearls, nothing but Chinese policy to encircle India. The more in port said business kini hai na sari port to can be converted into military use. So this is the thing. The Malacca Strait dilemma se masi Malacca Strait dilemma se masi neutralize taunaba asidaneba ngasai aksai chin darkar lai ragi. So the second ngasai pe pan ko aksai chin gi through the asida Gilgit Baltistan POK, then they will come down here to Gwadar port. China Pakistan economic corridor. Inging ko. Adu ay bata argati West Asia dagi direct asi Malacca Strait se phau dabi da Malacca dilemma se lauthok raga West Asia gi through the mo access lai rakra. This is the idea. Asini. And adubu sea lane of communications. Asi kiti yam related to the adubu back. Kitang laptak na mari lai na ko. Northern Sea Route. Climate change na geopolitics is hanagadori. Northern Sea Route se asida ki West Europe tagi na asida China lakko matamda it's closer. Or alternative routes. Climate change, global warming na maram moiraga, the Arctic region is becoming more and more ice free. Ice free like kodina Northern Sea Route asida chat karne ba. Adu like pataragadi. Yes, of course you cannot change the geography, but Malacca dilemma gi calculus se kitang significance de handarak ko yare. Okay. But still unpredictable. Still a long way to go. Aduna masigi sea ice opening up oira kunina sea lane of communication shift or sea ice like what we are witnessing is global power trying to increase their presence in the Arctic areas and taking claim to Arctic region. Russia na so koi gini hai bahore asi na jo koi asi area claim tauna rahi se. This is what is happening because natural gas resources. China na near Arctic region, near Arctic countries ga hai. India so same thing. We also want our centers there. So asini this is evolving. In response to China, I policies na karino, sarkar na PU policy media na karina high one ko necklace of diamond response. No in a string of pairs later, I go na diamond na sa ani response. At least on paper, I su what we do. Okay, pare no hamban to ta da pot sara ka di somda string ko meli rom da ko ju sa ani tit for that. No ina asida sara ka di shit way the sa ani. Kita wong da access law ni Philippines port ta access agreement later. Asine tit for that ko. String of pearls ki response necklace of diamond. Oh, this is what we are seeing. No, border area से border की issue से resolve ताऊ ना बकरी करी ताऊ खरगे है बिदिनो PDF पार को यार है. But these are the issues. Joint working committee अदु दा मैं आम नहीं करे. अदु question सिदी. Any international relation पावा मतलब दा आई ना साइड नो इधर high बिदो. Any country का relation लाइव मतलब दा area of convergence. करम area दा कोई पुण्य थवक ताऊ आगे करम area दा कोई याना दगी है बिदो. China का जे कोई adversary ने लान ताऊ रे याना दरे फारे. अदु area of convergence is सुबलाई लाइट है बरासिन. Western countries in carbon cut down tauro India ka China. Oh brother, we are developing countries. Mawani pull laga lauri ne. Common but differentiated responsibility. Di for our economic growth, developmental growth, to take care of our poor people, we need coal. World Trade Organization da Western countries have tauri. No in a tauri budo it is discriminatory policy against us. Shimdo. International Monetary Fund. Masi yaroi. US and Western dominated oil. More liberal, more democratic oil. Area of convergence. Climate change, the international finance, the car. We are on the same side. So what we should do is China got deal matamda. We should work together in area of convergence where possible. But in areas where it is not possible, we should try to contain them, balance them. Internal balancing plus external balancing. Internal balancing the karino improve your own capabilities. External balancing the work together with like-minded groups. For example, India-US relationship. India trying to establish relationship with Japan, India relationship with Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and then what? And then India is trying to increase its footprint in Southeast Asian countries like Philippines, Thailand. India naga missile yo leba defense partnership they are using. Why? Because high river masjid lay river country mayam jisu China ga South China Sea da. They have disputes. And India is and also adu dispute like they have a trade relation with them. Have very strong trade relations, economic relations. Mount Kailash Yatra. Mount Kailash. See, yes, Tibetan energy in simple word. So here, I see the Mount Kailash is something welcome to that. So I see that. So we are giving alternative. And at the same time increasing our presence here. This is what we are doing. But South China si karigi mo China karigi high river China ki maru oi river no high ragadi. Asida kalai chakra. Say, Taiwan. Plus more access to West Asia shortest route. Plus the resources that is there in South China Sea. Marine resources, poiro, energy resources, poiro, all that there. Asilaira. Aduna, they want to claim this for themselves. US ka Indian high region, US particularly more in high region, international water. India is high region, rule-based international order. The China high region, Echo Guinea. Adu, we'll see what happens. The Mount Kailash. Mount Kailash kishi, it can be used as a diplomatic tools to normalize relation with India and China. For example, India and China stand off like they have a stand off. Example. adu relationship is normalized tawge na tawrage khalle. But what should be the starting point? Maybe the good starting point can be opening up route for Mount Kailash. At starting point ni oire na. Okay, India no pilgrimage religious purpose ki Mount Kailash kaning jindu. I will open my door, my border. This is convenient route to you. Just example ni da. Adubu ekhone lauge haibududi adudi kitang yaro. So it can be used for diplomacy tools ko. So asida koina khangado ngasi aina noida what I want to keep in the back of your mind is international relation to the any relation, any paper thangala pao kaide. First, India na palm na karino, atopa country jo na palm karino, India ki capability na kari, migi na kari, plus understanding the geopolitical environment. Geopolitical environment and geostrategic environment. Asi gyantaro, aduga area of convergence. Kada the work tomina bhi avra, area of what do you call divergence? Work tomina bhi adaba dispute mayam ko. Adu gyantaro, and then what next? Area of convergence, area of divergence, Karamine engage toguni, kadai they engage toguni, way forward to the Lyrak draw. So based on that, you will write your answer. No. Belt and Road Initiative say more economic ne economic purpose ne but it has military implications as well. You know, Belt and Road Initiative, they will try to connect. Connectivity is important for what? You're spreading your sphere of influence. Also, having a foothold in that particular country, and also it is going to boost your connection. Connection means more trade and commerce. The same route, the same infrastructure that you created for economic purpose, that same infrastructure can be again used for military purpose in times of need. For example, Nepal or Bangladesh, Myanmar, they need route, they need infrastructure. Moi the same mangamdre China loan pirege Belt and Road Initiative lambi sarase. They did it. Adubu nangi country da invested over country do China na nang on the billions and billions of in terms of billions thada ravani na China ki influence in the hen yamani na. So China na paisa se in terms of billions thada India na Myanmar de laaya. Noi gi nakanda ekoi samudra abdi port masa amtang notice access taunaba amta sajage na hairani. China na as madudi taurani hairani. No high bangamdragasu, they will keep restrictions or limitation to such an extent that India will say no. Influence. As you never. That is how it works. Adubu high reba India ki neighbor reba countries in Sisu, Moisu China ki pura Mahadadi lining deva. Aduna Moisu kai daurni. China da asima peak India ki Susima. Balancing. As you never told me. That is what is happening. Ngasih di sini lo sila ko. Okay. Karena di yang tahu ngambra. Si asim yang tu kakak ni kabar pahal di muara ni. Lila ne kabar dah tahu je. Kaim nanti. So sila support.